Welcome back to MVP Auto 8000 World of Motorcycles. Some machines don't just exist, they echo. Their sound, their presence, and their reputation linger long after they disappear from the mainstream roads. And today, on MVP Auto 0008, we're diving into a machine that isn't just a bike, it's a resurrection of a legend. This is the 2026 Honda NSR 500 V3, a motorcycle that brings back the glory of two-stroke madness, modernized for a new generation of speed addicts. Before we talk about the new V3, we need to revisit the legend it comes from. The Honda NSR 500 was one of the most iconic Grand Prix racing machines ever built, a two-stroke beast that dominated MotoGP in the 80s and 90s. It was violent, unpredictable, razor-sharp, and unbelievably fast. Riding it wasn't just a skill, it was an art. Champions like Mick Doohan, Freddie Spencer, and Valentino Rossi tamed this monster on the track. And now, decades later, Honda has decided to rewrite history, with a twist that nobody expected. The 2026 Honda NSR 500 V3 is Honda's way of saying two things: they haven't forgotten their roots, and they're not afraid to innovate. While most manufacturers are pushing electric bikes or refined high-tech four-strokes, Honda decided to go bold with a modern two-stroke comeback, and not just a copy of the old 500. This time, it's a V3 configuration, an engine layout rarely seen in production motorcycles. The V3 design reduces weight, improves torque balance, and gives the bike a unique power delivery that stands out in today's market. The new engine is a 498cc liquid-cooled two-stroke V3 with electronically controlled exhaust valves, modern fuel injection mapping, and an emissions system that keeps it street legal without killing its wild soul. You can feel Honda's engineering team smiling behind this project. This is the kind of bike engineers dream of building, not because it's easy, but because it's exhilarating. The moment you start the engine, the bike doesn't purr, it snarls. It sounds like a race bike that accidentally escaped the paddock and found its way onto the streets. Instead of the silent hum of electric motors or the muted rumble of modern four-strokes, the NSR 500 V3 screams its presence with that raw, metallic two-stroke crackle. It's not just a sound, it's a warning to every other machine around it: something wild has awakened. The power delivery is pure two-stroke spirit, calm at low RPMs, then explosive once you climb into the power band. And when the valves open fully, the bike practically launches itself forward like it's trying to escape gravity. With a power output around 180 horsepower and a curb weight barely over 150 kilograms, the power-to-weight ratio is insane. This isn't a motorcycle you simply ride casually, this is something you prepare for. Honda didn't just revive a legend for the sake of nostalgia. They built the NSR 500 V3 to perform with modern superbikes. The chassis is an ultralight twin-spar aluminum frame, refined with MotoGP-inspired rigidity. The suspension is fully adjustable Öhlins front and rear, built to give razor precision at high speeds. Brembo-style MA brakes ensure the rider has enough stopping power to tame this beast. Everything feels track-ready, even if the bike is technically street-legal. Riding the NSR 500 V3 at low speeds is surprisingly manageable. Honda's modern electronics give it a level of refinement the original NSR 500 could only dream of. Traction control, launch control, wheelie control, and cornering abs are all present, but they're optional. Honda knows who they're building this bike for. They included electronics to protect riders, not to control them. And if you want the full raw experience, you can switch everything off. The aerodynamics are a fusion of retro and futuristic design. The fairing has sharp lines inspired by 90s GP bikes, but the winglets are modern, functional, and aggressive. Honda claims the downforce helps stabilize the bike at high speeds, and with a machine this light and powerful, every bit of aerodynamic assistance counts. The seating position is unapologetically sporty. This is not a bike you ride for comfort, it's a bike you ride for adrenaline. The digital display is compact and track-focused, showing everything you need: gear, RPM, lean angle, power map, and live telemetry. Honda even included a GP-style shift light system that flashes intensely when you reach the power band, encouraging you to push the bike to its limits. And yes, there's a quick shifter, both up and down. No surprises there. At this level, it's not a luxury, it's a necessity. One of the most surprising things about the 2026 NSR 500 V3 is the way it handles. The bike feels playful, almost like a 250cc, but with the heart of a 500 demon. You can flick it into corners effortlessly, and the front end feels glued to the road. On the track, the bike becomes a weapon, allowing you to dive into corners late and shoot out with incredible acceleration. On the street, it demands respect. Twist the throttle too fast in the wrong gear, and it will remind you that two strokes are not here to make friends. For riders who grew up watching MotoGP legends, riding the NSR 500 V3 feels like a reunion with a childhood dream. For younger riders, it's a chance to experience something rare, a machine that bridges the old world of raw mechanical rebellion with the new world of high-tech engineering. Honda isn't positioning this bike as a mainstream model. This is a halo project, a celebration, a tribute, and a challenge. It represents the idea that motorcycles are not just tools for transportation but machines that connect humans with emotion, adrenaline, and excitement. The NSR 500 V3 isn't about practicality. It's about passion. When you walk around the bike, every detail feels intentional. The paint schemes take inspiration from the classic Repsol Honda liveries and the legendary red-white-blue HRC colors. The wheels are lightweight forged aluminum, and the tires are high-performance compounds that grip like they're holding onto life itself. Even the tail section has that nostalgic race bike look, sharp, minimalistic, and aerodynamic. The exhaust placement is a conversation piece on its own. Honda kept the iconic triple pipe layout, two under the seat and one running along the right side, but redesigned them with modern engineering to reduce heat and improve performance. When the bike revs high, the exhaust note becomes a symphony of aggression, one that instantly turns heads and raises pulses. Of course, a bike like this isn't cheap. It isn't supposed to be. The NSR 500 V3 is priced like a collector's item, built for enthusiasts who understand what they're buying, a piece of racing heritage reimagined for the modern era. Honda knows this bike will become a future classic, and they're producing it in limited numbers, making it even more desirable. People will argue about the price, the practicality, the fuel economy, but none of those discussions matter to the rider who buys this machine. Because the NSR 500 V3 isn't about saving fuel, it's about saving the feeling of what motorcycles used to be. It's not about comfort, it's about character. It's not about following trends, it's about defying them. If you're someone who loves motorcycles not just for transportation but for the thrill, the history, and the passion behind them, this bike represents everything that makes the world of motorcycling unique. It reminds us that some machines are built not because the market needs them, but because the heart wants them. So as we wrap up this deep dive into the 2026 Honda NSR 500 V3, one thing becomes clear: this bike isn't just a model. It's a message that legends never die. A message that innovation doesn't always mean abandoning the past. And a message that some rules are worth breaking, especially when they lead to something extraordinary. For riders, collectors, and fans of pure adrenaline, the Honda NSR 500 V3 is more than a motorcycle. It's a resurrection, a tribute, and a bold promise that the spirit of two-stroke racing will always have a place in the future. This has been MVP Auto 0008. If you enjoyed this breakdown of one of the most exciting motorcycles of the decade, make sure to like, subscribe, and share. More incredible machines are on the way. Until next time, ride safe, ride smart, and ride with passion.